YouTube, what's up with y'all niggas? What's going on, man? Let's get a look. What's the word, YouTube? What's the word, you thizzle? What's the word, you tizzle? What's the word, you? What's going on, man? Hey, man, today, man, look, we got 2 Zealand today, man. You know what I'm saying? Not New Zealand, 2 Zealand, man. Anytime New Zealand on this channel, 2 Zealand. I'm about to make a whole playlist titled 2 Zealand with all the 2 Zealand, you know what I'm saying, New Zealand content and whatnot. Man, we gotta, bro, this banger just came out about a week and a half ago, man. It's a documentary from Vice, man. For y'all that don't know, Vice is like a top tier, damn near number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, top 5, you know what I'm saying, documentary companies of all time, bro. Invest some money into Vice, the stock. I'm lying, I don't know if they got a stock, but they have some that, you know what I'm saying, you probably invest to. They probably, you know what I'm saying, keep going up and whatnot. But let's check this out, bro. It's called "Is the World's Weirdest Drug Market in New Zealand, the War on Drugs." But let's get straight to it. Cafe, Kia Ora, Kailako, Poyos, what else we got? Egg, Wop Wops, what else we got? Yeah. Araha Nui, you know what I'm saying? Araha Nui, it means all love. I know I'm saying that wrong, but let's get it though. Let's go. It's one of them. Araha Nui. Damn.
New Zealand is probably most famous as the location for the Lord of the Rings movies. But there's a lot more going on here than just elves and hobbits. With crystal meth, weed, and new synthetic drugs you've probably never
damn, he just got straight to it, bro.
Or even heard of. In fact, New Zealand has become one of the world's centers for developing new psychoactive substances, with often devastating consequences.
With synthetic cannabis, if I don't get a smoke for a couple of days, my lungs, they feel like they're seizing up.
This is how New Zealand became one of the world's weirdest drug markets, and how the entire war on drugs there was almost ended by this guy, a steampunk rock star named Starboy.
Starboy looks like a freaking weirdo.
Napoleon famously claimed that geography is destiny, and when it comes to New Zealand's war on drugs, he might have been right. New Zealand is about 6,000 miles from South America, 8,000 from Afghanistan, and has a population of nearly 5 million. About half that of a city like London. What that has meant is that for many years, cartels didn't really smuggle many drugs to New Zealand. The market was just too small for them to bother.
Geographical isolation plays a big part in the way that New Zealand's drug markets and drug consumption has developed. Drugs like cocaine, heroin have not been particularly popular here.
Of course, none of that means that Kiwis take fewer drugs than other people.
That's good.
It just means they take different drugs. New Zealanders had to come up with their own solutions.
Y'all coming up with y'all own homemade drugs. Hold on. Let's break this down. What y'all talking about, bro? They coming up with their own drugs, bro. What y'all niggas got going on over there, man?
What they found is that aside from drinking a load of booze, they could manufacture their own methamphetamine.
Who is using meth?
I could vouch for these
What type of
amphetamines.
people?
Everyone, every class is on it.
There's lawyers, there's
Doctors,
doctors,
there's
businessmen and politicians. I can't name you a class of people or a particular profession that's immune. So it's throughout New Zealand society.
So
That's
things
what I'm
that
saying,
can be
bro. Like, the war on drugs will never stop, bro. Like, why they even care, bro? Like, let humans put drugs, bro. If people are voluntarily putting drugs into their body, who the hell is somebody else to say that this is wrong and take them to jail for that, bro? Let them put them drugs into their body, man. They know what comes with that. Let them do them. What's the difference between that and tobacco? Like, it's gonna kill you, bro. You're gonna die anyway, bro. You might as well, like, let them do them, bro. Who cares? I personally don't care if down the street Samantha and Becky is down there on the corner right now, ass out off of meth right now. I don't care. Because guess what? If I knew, if I didn't know, they would still be taking them drugs. You see what I'm saying? I don't see why everybody care about what somebody else is doing, bro. Like, let them take them drugs, bro. Let them do them drugs, man. You just don't do the drugs. If anything, it should be a good... Now, look, people going to take this the wrong way, bro. I'm not saying that, oh, it's good that your family member is out here strung out on, you know what I'm saying, crack or whatever. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, it's more room for you. Now this is a selfish outlook on it. What I'm about to say, this is very selfish. I'm aware of this. It's more room for you to expand and grow, you know what I'm saying, when there's less competition out here, bro. And if it's more people out here strung out and stuff, it is very much messed up. But whether you have no control of what they do, regardless, and so it's like, you know what I'm saying? If they out here in less competition, there's more room for you, and then there's more value within you. Because if more people are down here doing these bad things, and you have the discipline to not do that, you are gonna get more value just as a whole because you're not doing the bad things. You see what I'm saying? So then that's gonna compound interest, bro. Like, it's a good way to look at that, bro.
Produced in New Zealand, so methamphetamine, prescription opioid, you know they're the most popular drugs in the New Zealand context.
Wait, what was the most popular?
Prescription things that can be produced in New Zealand, so methamphetamine, prescription opioid, they're the most popular drugs in the New Zealand context.
As a simple chemical, the dangers of meth are often overstated. But in an illegal market, it can cause real damage to people's lives. And in the early 2000s, deaths and violence related to illegal meth began to rise sharply. But this is when the story of New Zealand's drug war takes a very unexpected turn, because this is when we meet Matt Bowden. Matt is a musician who plays steampunk-inspired glam rock under the name Starboy.
He looks like a girl.
He's also a drugs entrepreneur who made millions of dollars producing psychoactive chemicals in New Zealand and very nearly changed the world.
I had a family member.
What did he do?
Chemicals in New Zealand. So a drugs entrepreneur who made millions of dollars producing psychoactive chemicals in New Zealand.
An entrepreneur that made millions producing a psychoactive chemical.
And very nearly changed the world.
I had a family member who unfortunately lost their life after taking too much ecstasy, and another friend ended their life using crystal meth. And it sort of cemented for me a feeling that I needed to get involved in developing safer alternatives, and that we needed to have quality control and a regulatory system in place, rather than just having a taboo around substance use when it's been a normal part of human behaviour going back to the dawn of time.
Back to
the chemical that Bowden
ago,
eventually
man.
settled
Caveman
on was
was probably
BZP,
getting messed
which he
up, bro.
and others sold as party pills all over New Zealand.
We got a team of scientists together and looked for a safer alternative to crystal meth. We found in the research that there was a molecule which had been used previously in an antidepressant, and we knew this was a lot safer and non-addictive. So for 8.5 years, we sold 26 million pills to 400,000 consumers on 10.5 million occasions with no deaths and no lasting injuries.
BZP became wildly popular, with 5 million pills being sold every year and evidence indicating that a fifth of the entire population had tried the drug at least once. And this was all completely legal. BZP was such a new chemical that the authorities hadn't even had time to ban it.
The price of meth dropped and there was an oversupply, and it was obvious that it's because the safer alternative had displaced it from the market. What it proved was that if you make a safer alternative available, that consumers will trend towards that.
But just because party pills were legal doesn't mean they were regulated. They were sold everywhere from corner shops to petrol stations, with no age restrictions or health advice.
Damn, no
and in
age
2008, the government banned BZP altogether.
We were faced with this whole raft of new products coming onto the shelves, completely untested, unregulated, being sold through corner stores, no controls on age or promotions, etc.
But the ban didn't mean people stopped making legal highs. All that developed was a game of cat and mouse where the government would ban a certain chemical, then the underground chemists would tweak the molecule slightly to make a new legal one and sell it for a few months before it was eventually banned.
They're working on drying out the final step in a new synthetic compound that they've manufactured. Even if this lab were to be stopped, it's done in hundreds of thousands of other labs in China, and another one will always pick up the slack. There's just too much money in it.
This is the pattern of so-called legal highs all over the world.
And that's the thing, bro, like this, so he damn near played a role in that. That's crazy. So, and you can manipulate this so crazy, bro, because if you got, okay, let's say this is a safer alternative to whatever, right? You could easily start manipulating the people. So then say you want people to just, all right, I want everybody to start just falling in love with Gatorade. So when I'm going to start putting in these pills that everybody's buying, I'm going to put something that makes them like Gatorade. You see what I'm saying? It's like you don't know what they can put into these pills that can influence your behavior in any way, or just put something in your body that you just don't know what's going on, bro. Drugs is like dangerous, bro. Like playing that game is dangerous, bro. It's people that try to get some weed, got some weed, smoked it, now they a vegetable, you know what I'm saying? Can't even move no more, bro. It's people that's out here, got some weed, thought it was weed, might be some K2, you smoked that, shot somebody, now you in jail forever. or you go to jail for like 2 years, and then you in jail, somebody try you or something, now you got another 10 years or something, you know what I'm saying? Or you had to do something, you know what I'm saying? All type of crazy stuff, bro. Like, put some work in, stuff like that, bro. It's just crazy, bro. Stay away if you can, bro. Like, I was just, a couple weeks ago, I was smoking on a dab pen, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like the little THC cart. And then my live chat was telling me, like, you know what I'm saying, you gotta stay away from them because it's bad for you. You know what I'm saying? It's bad. And then people, it's like it puts liquid into your lungs and stuff. And I will wake up, and you know, so I could tell all that stuff was true, bro. And it's just you get medals from hitting that pen. It's just, bro. I personally never smoked no hookah though. I don't smoke hookah. I don't smoke nothing but THC. I just try to get some weed. If I do smoke, I barely smoke to this day. But weed, bro, just stick with weed, bro. If you haven't got into drugs yet, bro, say you might be young watching this video, stick to weed, bro. If you do anything, weed and alcohol, that's all you need. You don't even need nothing else. Might be cool to, my fault, let me honest say that. You might want to experiment. You got to have discipline, though. To be an experimental person, you got to have discipline, bro. People try to experiment 1 or 2 times, and they gone off in the deep end. You know what I'm saying? That's why it matter who your friends is around, bro. But, I mean, you got people who's rich that smoke. I mean, that do all type of drugs and stuff. So, and once again, though, it's up to you, bro. I ain't going to tell you not to do something. Like, I would recommend you not doing it, though. I would recommend if you want to be something in life, I would recommend at least don't do it yet. But if you know what I'm saying, if you want to take some Xanax, bro, go do you, bro. You want to be like your favorite rapper, bro, do what you want to do then. I ain't going to be the one to tell you what to do. You know what I'm saying? You want to go over here and acid and all this stuff, be like whoever, whatever, your friends, they over there. If your friends over there, they your friends, you probably gonna do what your friends gonna do. Go over there and then, you know what I'm saying, do what you gonna do. You just see the consequences that come with that, and then you determine if you want to stay there or not, bro. That's on you. You know what I'm saying? War on drugs, they ain't gonna be able to stop nobody from doing nothing, bro, because when they go to jail, they gonna get them same drugs in jail, bro. Every drug that's out here, they gonna get that same drug in jail. And then they in the worst predicament because now they can't leave. Like, so if say they in jail and they just got some type of drug and now they in debt for it, and then they ain't got no type of hustle to them whatsoever. So they in there and they ain't got no money to, you know what I'm saying, pay their people back. Now they in the worst predicament because they can't hire from somebody. So now, you know what I'm saying, it's tough now. Drugs ain't going nowhere. It's never gonna go nowhere. Drugs make the world go round. Money make the world go round. Girls make the world go round, bro. Facts.
They're the party drugs that are sold within the law. No sooner does the government ban one, another is produced.
It's how drugs like spice and bar salts developed from relatively stable compounds to the highly unpredictable and problematic street drugs they are today.
That's scary,
the only
though,
difference
like,
in New Zealand was Matt Bowden. Matt saw that these chemicals were becoming...
I know his head hurt doing this, bro.
The only difference in New Zealand was...
Just do that right there 3 times. Tell me you don't just...
Matt Bowden. Matt saw that these chemicals were becoming more and more dangerous and lobbied the government for a better system. And unusually in global drug policy, the New Zealand government actually listened to the experts.
Drug policy was set out in a way where they wanted to reduce supply and demand. And so I identified myself as a representative of the nightclubbing dance community and said, well, for our group, we have another solution, which is to reduce demand by meeting those consumer needs with an alternative product. And they agreed that this did fit with the overarching goal of drug policy, which is to reduce harm to consumers.
In 2013, they passed the world's first major attempt at a fully regulated market for legal highs.
The idea was, well, how about if we just set the standard the same as in medicine? If you just set up your laws in such a way that there is a pathway to market for psychoactive drugs. A developer just needs to show that the drug is safe enough. That pathway's there, then that, like a magnet, will just attract all the venture capital that's required to move that forward.
This was a revolutionary
I don't trust
policy.
pills in general.
Sales of party
bro.
pills were banned to under 18s.
I really don't trust. I don't trust pills, bro. It's hard to trust weed, bro. I don't trust pills at all, bro. Like, I don't trust none of that, bro. I don't even down there be trusting the good pills for you. Like, I got some organic iron in my cabinet. I got some maca in my cabinet. They come in capsules and stuff, but like, damn, they don't even trust them for real, bro. You know what I'm saying? I don't really trust pills, bro.
And new licensing requirements restricted where the products could be sold. For a moment, it looked like New Zealand might just make history. But there was a problem. The media began showing images of long lines outside head shops, and the government lost their nerve. All the legal drugs that had been available were banned. And though new ones are still allowed on paper, a technicality was added to the law that prohibited testing on animals, essentially making new products impossible to develop.
To do safety testing on a drug a medicine, a cosmetic, anything you put on your body, there is some testing on animals, and it can be done ethically or it can be done without cruelty.
But as always, banning certain products didn't mean people stopped trying to get high. They just went back to using more dangerous drugs.
This shit was actually way cheaper than weed. It didn't have much more of like an effect.
Bro, it's crazy. It's crazy how like a drug can be somebody's whole life. Like they live through this product, through this drug, through this thing. Like every decision that they make in life is evolved around drugs. Every consequence that came their way is about drugs. Every karma, good or bad, has been around drugs. You know what I'm saying? That's crazy how drugs just, and you got what's like they call shrooms and weed and stuff. It's not synthetic. It's like what they call them, bro? Shrooms and that's another word. They don't call them drugs, bro. What's that word? It's not synthetic. It's some with your mental, bro. Some with your mental.
That's how I got into
psychedelics. Yeah, psychedelics, bro. You know what I'm saying? You got psychedelics out here too.
Smoking it.
I forgot what I was gonna say about them though, but psychedelics something.
The government's to blame. They're the only people to blame. Of course it's gonna go underground, and then people are gonna start making shit.
And it's crazy how
is harmful.
Crucially, after the ban on party pills, people also
like. Why do people like drugs so much? Like whenever you get on it, why do people like you? Why people like drugs so much? Like they escaping reality. Is that what they doing? Is that why they like it? Why they like escaping reality so much? You know what I'm saying? You gotta get down to the root of all this, bro. Most of it, I would assume, is to escape reality. You know what I'm saying? That's what I assume, bro. I assume it's to escape reality, but like, what could be another reason, bro? What's another reason? Creativity or something? Is meth giving people creativity? Like, you addicted? Oh, you addicted to it, all right? But to get addicted to it, you had to take it a lot of times. So it made you take it that third, fourth, and fifth time. Like, what you like about that? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I want to know. Like, cause it controls people's mental, bro. It's almost like a disease, damn near, bro.
went back to using meth in even greater amounts than before. And as always with the war on drugs, this has hit the poorest and most marginalized communities the hardest.
The kicker with methamphetamine is that use is concentrated in communities that already suffer from multiple harms. Problematic use of methamphetamine within already disadvantaged communities is tied to poverty, racism, colonization, deprivation, and so on.
But now, things are different. Because of New Zealand's isolation, the price of drugs there is much higher than it is in, say, the US or Europe. In fact, a kilo of meth can reach over 10 times the price in New Zealand than it does in the States. And with the market growing as fast as it is,
Let me rowdy up some meth over here, and when I go to New Zealand, just make so much money, bro. 10 times. Let me go over there and make some money in New Zealand real quick, bro. You know what I'm saying? They over there paying 10. You know how much that's a return right there, bro? 10 times how much you paid for it. Nigga, that ROI is crazy.
The international cartels have now begun to pay attention.
Estamos en lo que viene siendo, o lo que le llaman un laboratorio clandestino. Aquí en Sinaloa un kilo de cristal nos cuesta $1,500. En Estados Unidos el kilo te viene saliendo en 4,000. En Nueva Zelanda lo estamos vendiendo, tenemos un cliente de, pues el mercado de Nueva Zelanda para nosotros es muy importante.
See, that don't make sense though. Go back, cause he said, and okay, and Sinaloa, bro, ain't that New Zealand? Hold on, let me look this up, bro. Sinaloa, ain't that New Zealand? Yes, it is, right? So, but they just said it costs more in the New Zealand. Hold on. Oh, that's Mexico. Never mind. That's Mexico. So Mexico, it costs $1,500 in Mexico. In America, they could get it off for like $4,000. But then they said in New Zealand they get $40K.
Cristal nos cuesta $1,500. En Estados Unidos
so in the US,
el kilo te viene saliendo en 4,000.
In New Zealand, damn, bro. So there's one thing, only because it's like all these miles and miles and miles away. But money ain't even real anyway, bro. So they can get that for $1,500 in Mexico, $4,000 in US. That's a straight return. But $40,000, bro. All you gotta do is do that like 2 times, and then you can get out that game, bro. I'm pretty sure you can take that, bro. Take 2 kilograms, right? Make that profit, and then you don't even gotta be in that drug game no more, bro. You can just take that money and then go back to whatever country you was from, sit down with that money and then invest it and triple, you know what I'm saying? Triple your money, bro, your capital, whatever. I'm pretty sure these niggas probably just be wanting more and more and more. Niggas probably be getting greedy or something. You probably just can't get out, bro. That's a lot, bro. Y'all paying $40,000 over there in New Zealand, bro.
En Nueva Zelanda lo estamos vendiendo, tenemos un cliente de, pues el mercado de Nueva Zelanda para nosotros es muy importante.
Cartels from Mexico are now allying with biker gangs and displacing the DIY meth labs. And this is creating new levels of violence as gangs compete to control the
I can't even
market.
imagine how much they paying in like New Zealand jails, bro. If New Zealand, I feel like for some reason, I feel like y'all finna start getting a lot of like weapons over there, bro. I don't know what it is. I feel like give it like 10 more years. I think by 2027, New Zealand gonna start having more and more and more weapons, like socially accepted, to where it might end up like the USA, where over here everybody has a weapon. I think it's probably gonna be like 30, 40 years for that to happen, for y'all to have like pistols and everybody be having like shotguns, firearms, you know what I'm saying, pistols, rifles. Get that about like 30, 40 years, but about 10 years, bro, I think it's gonna be more and more and more and more like socially accepted. I think so. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. Drug deaths and gang violence have,
because he said the Mexican cartels are getting together with y'all biker gangs, bro.
Reached unprecedented levels in New Zealand. And all this might have been avoided had Matt Bowden and his safer, legal party pills been given a chance.
Matt Bowden indirectly
Congratulate drugs.
Alright, so everybody just point a finger at Matt Bowden, man. Look at Matt Bowden, point a finger and say, matter of fact, point a middle finger and say it. No, I'm playing. So Matt Bowden indirectly, unintentionally caused it to even get worse, bro. Who would have thought of that? You try to do a act of good, and that led to a worse situation, man. But worse to who though? Like, it depends on what spectrum in the spectrum you're looking at it, cause it's worse for who is it really bad for? More and more and more. Who is it? Cause bro, think about it. Is that really bad? Because people that's taking it is happy because now it's more real. They got more of the real stuff, so they happy. People who selling it, they happy because they getting more money. So who really? Like who's really? Alright, maybe the children. You know what I'm saying? People, kids probably benefiting the worst. My fault, they probably getting it the worst because their parents probably using drugs and all this stuff. But you can't blame drugs for. You can't blame the drugs. You gotta blame that person, bro. You gotta blame that human because that's their discipline. If they already had kids and they wasn't on drugs, and then they start getting on drugs because of something happens to them or something, and they just can't take whatever, then they get on drugs. That's not the drug fault. That's the person. You see what I'm saying? Like, so, cause it could have been drugs, but then say they didn't have drugs, it could have been something else. They could have been addicted to like writing on their hand all the time, and then they not paying their bills on time because they so focused on finding a new pencil across the country, trying to get a new pencil because they want to get a certain pencil with this much of, you know what I'm saying, and write on their hand because they just addicted to it. Like it could have been anything that filled that. Take drugs, remove that, and fill in the blank. You know what I'm saying? It could have been. You can't blame drugs. I don't really blame drugs for real, bro. Because it's because people, you know what I'm saying, it's on the person, bro. It's just on the person, bro. If you got an addicted personality, probably shouldn't be on the drugs. But if you don't even know you have an addicted personality, so once again, it's everything is on you. Everything in life is on you, bro. You know what I'm saying? It's on you end of the day. I'm going though. We out. Let's get it, man. 21K. Wow, let's get it. 2 zillion. What y'all niggas think though? Like, what y'all think, bro? Let me know what y'all think, bro. Do I sound crazy? Am I tripping or not? Let me know.